Breaking news from Los Angeles. The Chargers are not just rebuilding, they're redefining what a smart NFL franchise looks like. After years of questions about weapons and direction, Jim Harbaugh and Joe Hortiz have dropped a bold statement to the league. And it's turning heads. The difference between winning and losing in this league. It's not always talent, it's vision. And the Chargers just prove they see what others don't. But before we dive into the latest developments that could reshape this franchise's identity, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss a single Chargers update. Now, let's get into the story. Last season, the biggest question for the Chargers was simple. Who's going to catch the football? With the wide receiver room looking thin, all eyes were on what they'd do in the draft. Then came a shocker. At number 5 overall, the Chargers didn't go flashy. They didn't chase headlines. They chose Joe Alt, an elite offensive tackle. Just one pick later, the Giants grabbed Malik Neighbors, the electric wideout. Most fans expected the Chargers to do the same, but they didn't, and that's exactly why this franchise is changing. While others chase hype, Harbaugh and Hortiz made a high IQ football move. The live reactions? People laughed. Even analysts couldn't believe it. But here's the truth. Joe Alt is a cornerstone, a protector of your future. And the Chargers knew they couldn't find that kind of production at tackle in the second round. Wide receivers. You can find them. Game-changing tackles. Rare. This wasn't just about filling a need. It was a statement. We build from the trenches. Now fast forward, you've got bookend tackles locked in. And the wide receiver room. It's transforming fast. The NFL is watching, scrambling to keep up. Let's talk about one of the most intense position battles happening right now inside the Chargers camp, the fight for that final wide receiver spot. It's a fierce competition, with 5 players battling for one seat on the plane. The top of the depth chart. Already locked. The coaching staff has made it clear. 5 names are penciled in, and unless something drastic changes, they're not going anywhere. But what about that 6th slot? That's where things get interesting. Kendra Lambert-Smith, a recent draft pick with serious upside, finds himself right on the bubble. Sure, being freshly drafted gives him a slight advantage. The front office sees potential. But the NFL doesn't hand out roster spots for potential. You earn it in camp, in practice, in preseason reps. Now, could the Chargers carry 7 wideouts like they did last season? Technically, yes. But that's far from the norm, and it'll only happen if multiple guys demand to be kept with their performance. For Lambert-Smith, that means standing out every single day. And he's not alone in the battle. Behind those first 5, Darius Davis, Quinton Johnston, Trey Harris, Mike Williams, and Ladd McConkey, the pressure is on. These 5 are likely safe. For now. But if someone falters, say Mike Williams isn't quite back to form, or someone just looks sharper, faster, hungrier, things could shift fast. The bottom line? The final wide receiver spot in Los Angeles isn't just up for grabs, it's a war zone. And someone's dream is going to get crushed while another's could be just beginning. The Chargers aren't in the business of keeping players just to fill a locker. If you're not contributing or developing, you're out. And with this wide receiver battle heating up, that mindset has never been more obvious. When you scan the names fighting for the 6th and possibly final wide receiver spot, you start to realize just how deep this room is. Kendra Lambert-Smith. Jalen Reagor, once a first-rounder, drafted to be the number 2 receiver for the Eagles just a few years back. Brendan Rice. Yes, the son of the greatest receiver the game has ever seen. Deezy Fitzpatrick. Jalen Guyton. This isn't just a group of camp bodies. These are players with serious pedigrees, raw talent, and chips on their shoulders. And yet, some of them might not make it. Let's start with Kendra Lambert-Smith. Drafted in the 5th round this year, he brings one thing every offense needs: speed. Clocking in at sub-4. 4, with solid size about 6'1", 190 pounds, he can stretch the field vertically and make defenders panic. His agility scores are among the best: elite change of direction, quick bursts, and raw explosion. Athletically, he ranks in the top 10% of all receivers in recent years. But raw speed alone won't earn you a jersey. he's got to show he can handle the playbook, absorb contact, and win against NFL-level defenders. Then there's Brendan Rice. On paper, you'd expect him to be a lock with his bloodline and college resume. But the Chargers don't play favorites with last names. And while Rice has shown flashes, he's still fighting from the outside looking in. The depth is so intense that even players with starter experience, like Jalen Reagor, are walking a tightrope. The Chargers have created a wide receiver room where no one is safe unless they're producing. And that level of competition, it raises everyone's game. So, who claims that final spot? It's still wide open. But one thing's clear. The bar is sky high, and only the hungriest, most locked-in players will survive camp. Now let's talk about one of the most intriguing names in this Chargers wide receiver battle, Brendan Rice. Yes, Rice, as in the son of Jerry Rice, the greatest to ever line up at the position. But bloodlines don't earn you snaps in the NFL, especially not on a roster this competitive. Brendan Rice, coming out of USC, checks all the physical boxes. Good size, strong hands, enough speed to create separation, and the toughness to play through contact. He's not flashy, but he's solid. The big question the Chargers are asking is, can he put it all together at the next level? He's not the only one facing that test. Jalen Reagor, once drafted in the first round to be a foundational piece for the Eagles, now finds himself clawing for relevance. Since 2020, Reagor's NFL journey has been rocky. After early opportunities in Philadelphia where he never quite took off, he bounced through several rosters. Last season, he landed in Los Angeles and appeared in about half the games, putting up modest production, just over 100 yards and catching 63% of his targets. The thing is, he's already behind. When you stack up the options, it's becoming more and more likely that both Brendan Rice and Kendra Lambert-Smith could leapfrog Reagor on the depth chart. Think about that. A former first-round pick, with 5 years in the league, might be third in line for a roster spot. That's how fierce this competition has become. This Chargers coaching staff isn't concerned with draft status or past expectations. They care about what's happening right now. And with young, hungry receivers rising, Reagor may be facing his last real shot to prove he belongs in this league, especially in a system that values toughness, efficiency, and production over potential. The battle continues, and one misstep could be the end of the road for someone who was once seen as the future. The wide receiver depth in Los Angeles right now isn't just solid, it's impressive. But more than just names on a depth chart, the type of talent the Chargers are collecting speaks volumes about their offensive evolution. Let's talk about Ladd McConkey, a player who might not fit the typical mold of an outside threat like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. But don't let that fool you. This guy is dangerous in a completely different way. McConkey is a slot technician, the kind of receiver who's almost impossible to track once the ball is snapped. He's elusive, smart, and tireless. He doesn't just run routes, he dissects coverages. While he can play outside when needed, his true strength is working inside, slicing through defenses and finding soft spots like a surgeon. Think Amon-Ra St. Brown, gritty, precise, and relentless. But here's what should really excite Chargers fans. McConkey might remind you of Keenan Allen, but with more speed. Yes, more explosiveness, more vertical threat, and a higher ceiling in terms of big play potential. That's not hype. That's what his athletic profile and on-field performance point toward. And he's not alone. Rookie Trey Harris, another new addition, has the frame, strength, and sideline presence to potentially grow into what Mike Williams once was for this franchise, a physical, downfield matchup nightmare. If both McConkey and Harris develop as expected, the Chargers may have just recreated the Allen Williams 1-2 punch, only this time faster and more dynamic. Now picture those weapons in a smarter, sharper offensive system, one designed to maximize efficiency without sacrificing aggression. That's what Jim Harbaugh and his staff are building. And if it clicks, the Chargers won't just be dangerous, they'll be unpredictable, balanced, and explosive. This is a new era for LA, and it's built on versatility, intelligence, and a whole lot of upside.